I wanted to talk about this at the time that this really happened, but in case you're not aware, this was about last week, and it was basically it was put out there that there was a lot of people, about 20 to 30 people over at G4 TV were unfortunately laid off. And I did initially record a video, but I had other things going on. I wasn't able to get that out, and I thought it's a little late. It probably doesn't matter what I think. And I was like, there's gonna be probably some other new developments later on. And sure enough, there were plenty other developments, which we'll get into in a minute. But it's sad because this is the original article. Let me bring it up here. And this was the original article. This came from Kotaku, and as you can see, G4 TV hit with major layoffs less than a year after coming back. Now that's something to note here because G4, if you don't know, was coming back, and they did, and they're not really doing so well. And I did get some when I was recording originally. I'll put that up here actually in a little bit, but yeah, they're not doing so well. And I actually learned in this article that they actually returned to cable network television. Like, why would you think that that's a good idea? The old crew of G4 TV was like really begging the higher ups to put more content on their website at the time because cable television is a dying platform. I'm actually surprised that cable TV is still a thing. It's like barely holding on by a thread though. So when I learned that that was a thing, I was like, "Wait, really? Like what?" That can't be doing good right now because again, you look at some of the numbers on their YouTube page. Yeah, and that's true. Every channel has its ups and downs when they're trying to amass an audience, but if we take a look, am I at the top? Yeah. So if we take a look, I've got X Plays channel up, Attack of the Show, and the actual G4 TV channel. It looks like X Play has like the most subscribers on here, but even with this, and this is what I was talking about here, this whole God of War thing, the saga begins. Like 5 days ago, and it's only got about like almost not even 9,000 views yet. I mean, I know stuff like that takes time, but let's take a look see. If we scroll down here, again, you've got a couple big ones like within the, about 70,000 here, 92,000. Okay, those are pretty damn good numbers. It's, but other than that, you've got like 10, 11, was it another 10, 17, and then at pretty standard ones here are like around 20, another 11, 14, 19, so about 20. But yeah, you can just kind of see going down the list here. I actually did see this one here. Our body is Reggie. That was actually a pretty good interview. But look at the numbers on that though. That was 26,000 views. You would think with somebody like having Reggie onto their program here that it would have done so much better. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Like, the content is not doing well. And I know, like, my channel specifically doesn't even come close to that. They beat me out in every single way. So I will acknowledge that right here, right now. But the problem here is that they came back into a market that was basically flooded with options currently now 2022 at the time I record this video. Like, over the years we've had so many people come out with channels that they've been doing for like 3 to 5 years, maybe even 10 plus years, you know what I mean? Like they've uh, they've been able to really amass an audience and have a pretty strong following. And good for them. They've worked hard for it. They've paid their dues. But like G4 came back at a point where like there's so much more competition. It's like back then in the early 2000s, and I just want to be clear, I used to love watching G4 with X Play and especially Attack of the Show. I used to love Attack of the Show. Now, having said that, I think that they're just not meant to be in this space, like in this time. You know what I mean? It was good back then because they were the only ones to do it. I mean, YouTube wasn't even really a thing back then, but eventually when YouTube was coming up and just really just catching on to pretty much everybody, whether it be in video games or other things, but YouTube was really catching on, and that was evident that it was going to go down that road. I mean, we've got tons of gaming related channels for YouTube, and hell, look at Twitch. I mean, that whole platform is dedicated to video games, period. Although in the last few years or more, like we've seen other things. Podcasts, sure, okay, that's cool. Artists, like whether they paint something, or musicians basically showing off their talent, I think that's pretty cool. Things like that are really cool, but it's kind of getting into other areas that I'm not going to go too much into here. But yeah, aside from that, you've got tons of streamers, you've got tons of YouTubers making content that's more enjoyable and more what's the word, like, just it's just done better. Like, there's no other way to get around it. There's some videos out there that are crap, and I'm sure like this is probably one of them, but whatever. It's like, you got to start somewhere, you know what I'm saying? So like, there's tons of other channels out there that have more of a following, and they're doing the same numbers as G4, if not exceeding those numbers. And it's just crazy how they thought they can come back into a market and be like top dog. You know what I mean? Like, that was them years ago because, again, they were the only ones to do it. So the fact that they had to lay off a lot of people recently, and that sucks, by the way. Like, I can't even imagine what that's like because, obviously I still work. I do what I need to do. I'm making my money. It sucks, yes, but at the same time, it's very telling. You see those numbers again, and it's just like, I don't really know how else to say it. Like, those numbers don't mean anything. Like, a person doing this for a long time, maybe with an editor or just by themselves, are doing it better. Production wise too, yeah, sure. And just there's so many other things that are involved, but like, you've got this big dedicated team of people, these different, like, these big studios that they've built up that costs a lot of money, and if they're not really generating a lot of views, how are they going to pay their employees? I mean, it's very obvious with those numbers. They're not doing well. And old ass reviews that they put on XPlay, I don't know if they're still going with that. I don't know what is going on there because I don't follow it anymore. I did at first because I thought it was kind of cool that they were coming back, but it's like a nostalgia thing. Like, I don't really care. So that's kind of my quick little thing about like G4 as a whole. I don't think that it should have ever come back. I mean, look at how many CEOs had gone through. Blair Herter was one of them. And it was funny with this recent article talking about a certain somebody. There was another certain somebody that, and I'll just say his name, Kevin Pereira, is actually going to be leaving. I think it was in October. It just feels like that, kind of giving you the nostalgic factor, but like, what else is there? They're not providing anything different than what's already out there. But that's my whole thing on G4 as a whole. I don't think it should have come back at all. But the other issue is that, and let me bring this up here. There was another article that came out, again from Kotaku, that XPlay host Frosk is now out of G4 after a week after layoffs. And it was just so, I shouldn't say this because, like I said, it sucks when somebody loses their job, but like, she totally was very deserving of that because basically karma, as we all know, is a humongous bitch. And this was, I mean, it says it all right here. Like, there was a tweet before this article came out, like when the layoffs had actually happened and everything. Do you know what this bitch actually put out there? Like, she actually tweeted like, I survived. Like, what? Now here's the thing. I don't know if she was like behind the scenes saying to everyone individually, like, look, it sucks that, this happened to you, and, I wish you all the best or whatever, but, maybe that was a thing. Maybe it wasn't a thing. And this tweet very much proves that she didn't give a shit about anyone else working with anybody else. It's, it's little things like that. I'm a firm believer of, like, the littlest of actions will really speak volumes about a person. So this right here, that tweet that she put out before, was just kind of like, what the hell? Like, that's like a slap in the face. So absolutely it was karma that came back to bite her in the ass. And then she put a tweet out afterwards saying that, like, thank you so much to G4 TV and the talented X-Play and esports departments, and that she loved working with everybody, and, it's, that she was gonna miss everybody. And I was just like, now that it's happening to you, like, you didn't give a shit when this was not your deal, like, because again, you survived. So I don't know, man. She seems kind of like a bitch and a half. Sorry, that's just my opinion. Especially when she did that whole speech about, like, how Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb were not there to be easy on the eyes.
Women do not exist to be nice on the eyes for you. Morgan Webb, Olivia Munn did not exist to be nice on the eyes for you.
They were definitely there for that purpose. I mean, you can even see it for yourself. They were on those programs. Like, Olivia Munn was on Attack of the Show for the longest time until Candace Bailey came on. Morgan Webb was there the whole time. But they had their photo shots on the side and all this other stuff. Olivia Munn was still, like, praised as, like, pulling it off with that Leia getup. You know what I mean? Like, from the Return of the Jedi. So it was like, that they didn't have to have that, sure, but, like, they were there. Those good-looking women were there.
See if there's... Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Oh my God! It's
It's a woman. How much is she?
Oh my God! I just want to let you know, the price is not included, but...
And not just those two. Like, again, like I said, Candace Bailey. What was her name? Sarah Jean Underwood, who was a Playboy model for, I think it was 2 years in a row, 2008 and 9 or 7 and 8, one of those two. Or maybe you all remember Allison Hayslip. Like, what? And that's the funny thing I was thinking about too. It's like, when they were bringing G4 back, where the hell were all of those people at? The women specifically. Because you had Adam Sessler, you had Kevin Pereira, who is now going to be leaving at the sometime in October. You had Blair Herter, who was at the time a CEO of that place, and then somebody else took his spot, and then now somebody at this point is taking that spot. It's just, there's a lot of things going on there that's just not working, and clearly they need to just drop that shit. Like, honestly, overall, like, this, with all of this shit that's happened within, like, a week's time, because, like I said, it was about last week that this all happened, so probably about a week now, and it's just funny, like, how we see all of this playing out. And I just kind of had a feeling that it wasn't going anywhere. Like, the videos are not performing at all. The numbers are super low. And again, I'll fully admit, like, they're way better than what my channel has. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say, like, mine's better or all that. Like, obviously, my numbers are low. I'm just starting off. Like, I get it. But, like, it's just, I don't see them progressing in a way that, like, to a level of other YouTubers that have been doing this much, much longer. Maybe if Adam Sessler did his own thing on the side, he would do much better on his own. Like, same with Kevin Pereira. I think he actually did for a little while. He had that channel called, I think it was Super Creative. But it's I don't know if there's any content that's actually being produced on there anymore. I don't know. I used to actually love watching his pointless podcast videos. I used to love that shit. Like he did really well with those podcasts. You know, there was production was getting a little bit better. You know, and I loved it. I loved watching those with whoever he was talking to, especially if it was somebody from like back in the day and the early 2000s G4 staff behind the scene, other staff members that were on camera as well, like and just other people that he had connections with, you know what I mean, and just brought them on. It was really cool to see that. I loved it. I loved watching those podcasts. I was really hoping he would actually keep going with that and whatever else he was doing on the side. I think that would have worked out really well for him, but he doesn't do those anymore. Unless you guys tell me, is he putting that somewhere else on YouTube that I don't know about? It was a mistake. I think they should have just let it be. And I really wish them all the best. I hope that they start to kind of realize they maybe should do their own thing. Hopefully everyone that works there does something on the side, so they're not like hurting for money. It's tough, man. I can't believe that there were people that thought that this was gonna last. I mean, obviously they did. I'm not knocking them for it, but it's just like if I was given the opportunity to work there, like in the midst of like them coming back and forming this whole thing up and everything like that, I would have said no because I could already see that it wasn't gonna work. But that's just me. So yeah, this is all and this all happened, like I said, within a week, and just knowing that all their other content has not been performing, like it's edited down really well. Like I'm not saying that their content is absolute crap, but it's just like there's nothing that they're really putting out there that is different from what else is out there now, and they're just competing in a flooded space now. It's completely different. They're not the only ones doing this anymore. There's so much more competition, and they got to realize that. And maybe they never will. Maybe it's just going to be a repeat of what happened before. So who knows? But anyways, what are your thoughts on it, guys? I would like to hear from you guys in the comments. I'm very curious to know what you guys think about it all. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was kind of a long one. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.